famous headlines that all the leaders we look up to end up using at some point in their journey. So let's take a look at a few. Creativity is thinking up new things. Innovation is doing new things. Theodore Levitt. I can sort of agree with this. Not wholeheartedly, but a little bit. Mr. Alan Kay says the best way to predict the future is to create it. Really, Alan? Is it that simple? The true side of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. And I think Mr. Einstein had a really long day with this one. Surely, Mr. Einstein, you can do better. Ms. Brené Brown says there is no innovation and creativity without failure, period. Now, Brené is very good at getting us emotional, right? So I'm going to switch past this one very quickly. Mr. Einstein is back and says logic will get you from A to B, imagination will take you everywhere. And I think this is getting closer, a little bit warmer to what I would agree with. Super hot, not hot like that, but something that I would back. But let's be honest, these are all starting to sound like marketing headlines that promote a superhero movie, but never explain what your superpower is. So what to do next? I decided to be the director of my own film, the creator of my own story, and come up with my own tagline. And of course I wanted to use the word innovation. But innovation alone seems boring. But boring for me means believing over and over again that the realistic insights and the nuances in our market is the game changer. So I've heard over the years the word insight dictates company policy, business decisions, where we take our children to school, what food we eat. But how does this thing called insights come about? Is it as simple as thinking up new things? Is it as simple as having those light bulb moments like we saw Mr. Einstein was referring to? Maybe. But I still feel that there's a little bit of boring that is needed to get us to this promised land of innovation. And so on how I wish to get to this promised land of innovation. We hear everybody talking about it. The word insights reminds me of those movie moments where everything suddenly stops and you're an overnight genius. And between you and I've had those moments every single day since I was born, and I'm still waiting to be called the genius. The formula clearly needs time. And one thing I've really started to realize is, I've been building a social enterprise with amazing people over the last couple of years. But what we struggled with is how do we articulate the impact and the insights in a manner that businesses understood. We didn't want to use the marketing headlines because we were dealing with real life issues. Issues that affect youth unemployment, businesses locally and globally, and ultimately is embedded under the purpose of connecting bright young minds to careers. So I started to ask myself, is there a path to get to insights? Is there something that we can do to make this a bit more structured? And that is why I started to do a master's in business analytics at NYU, which has been an amazing journey, and I've started to realize that there are a couple of steps we can take to get to this promised land of innovation. Now, my professors at NYU have taught me a very fundamental framework that, if often done right, can help us to get to this promised land of innovation. And of course, the framework is in the form of a house. For us as Africans, a house is a place we feel safe. A home is a place we feel at peace. Or the place our mothers used to keep us in check before you could embarrass the family outside. Now, the foundation of the house starts with data engineering. And this forms the basis of how we build this house. The first pillar, which is crucial, looks at descriptive analytics. And simply put, this allows us to answer the question of what has happened in the past. What has happened historically that has given us insights? The second pillar looks at predictive analytics. And this is aimed towards giving us an idea of what the future might look like based on historical data. The third pillar looks at causality, and this asks, does X truly inform Y? Are two events, do they occur just by chance? And the last pillar then looks at prescriptive analytics, and this gives us the opportunity to make decisions based on data. Now, like any self-respecting millennial would do in today's age, I wanted a quick shortcut, but in the name of efficiency, right? So I asked ChatGPT, give me the most practical case studies of what analytics has looked like in the African continent in 2023. Now you can imagine, I found the cheat code. This was easy, right? But you know how life always throws those curveballs at you and it's never really that straightforward? This is the response I got from ChatGPT. As of my last knowledge update in September 2021, I don't have access to specific information about predictive analytics in Africa in 2023. However, and even I ran this across each pillar. I ran this across predictive analytics, I ran this across prescriptive analytics, and I kept getting back the same answer. And I started to laugh because it kept giving me the same answer of however. And it starts to sound like, you know, you have an argument with someone who is really smart, but they didn't want to admit that they're wrong. I know what you're saying, however, no ChatGPT. So you can imagine how emotional I was. I think I was emotional for about 5 days or 5 hours, I'm not sure. And I started to ask myself, has my ChatGPT period been a lie? This amazing tool that has the capability, but without the insights to train it on the amazing things that we do across the African continent, our ability to gain insights decreases. So I started to ask myself, what are some of the nuances in our own backyard? And the nuance can be described as a subtle distinction or variation. And I did a whole bunch of research, and for some reason my research led me to last mile delivery. And this is a bit strange because last mile delivery simply put looks at the distribution of goods from one point to the final delivery destination, which is often our homes, right? But at this point, I mean, I'm hungry, I need to take a break. So my direction went to the Uber and the Uber Eats platform. But because I had in the back of my mind last mile delivery, I started to look at Uber a little bit differently. What are some of the factors that I would look like that would sway me to place it all on this platform? Surely we would all look at cost. Surely we would all look at cost of delivery. But there's always that third factor. One that has caused many arguments among friends and family, and that is we really want to eat the same thing. And of course, I'm going to deny ever saying any of this should they be listening to me right now. And I am no mathematician, but the number of times I've ordered food on the Uber Eats platform with a group of friends or family, it is a complete disaster. And it's a complete disaster because there's always that one friend who is willing to put your entire friendship on the line if you don't order what I want to order. It's crazy. And then I started to ask myself, but what about location? And I think location, especially in the African context, plays such a huge role because it dictates whether you're able to order or not. And my research led me to a startup called TEDxRiversandsBlvd. And TEDxRiversandsBlvd is a startup that sells for last mile delivery in the townships. But one has to ask, why haven't the big companies like Uber solved this problem? And this problem can only be solved given the nuances and the appreciation for the nuances that we have in the African market. And what nuances am I talking about? On this quest of being on a journey to innovation, our location looks at specifically, what about the townships? The township's patchwork of unmapped streets makes it near to impossible for delivery companies who rely on digital maps to service those areas. And what this does, it leaves millions of customers off the takeout food delivery grid. So enters TEDxRiversandsBlvd. What nuance that they've been able to elevate is that they employ locals who are familiar with the area's layout to navigate the directions in the township and deliver your food right to your doorstep. Now, if that wasn't enough, they were able to solve my unnamed argument earlier with friends and family, and the technology allows you to order food from multiple stores all in one go. So if got my brother and my siblings, we want to order from this store, we don't have to eat the same thing. And I've had the privilege of getting to know this founder. And in a recent article, there's a quote that inspires me a lot. And he says, what we are doing it, and we're doing it in the hood. And it shows you that innovation can literally come from the dusty streets of Hammanskraal. Now you start to ask, what is so exciting about unmapped streets in the township? Ordering multiple orders from an app, ordering food. Who actually wants to solve those kinds of problems? And the nuances that TEDxRiversandsBlvd has been able to close have been rather remarkable. This organization was founded in July 2021 and originally started their business by fielding orders via a WhatsApp chatbot. And by the end of 2021, they were able to do some remarkable things. There was a key shift. They were able to process over 6,500 orders, hire over 20 drivers, hire 10 administrative staff, and surpass 1 million in revenue in all under 5 months. innovation is boring. Now, if I ever wrote a love letter to my beautiful continent and the world, and I think I've written a couple in my lifetime, and I think I've written a couple that have managed to convince my beautiful wife that I am the guy for her until. So allow me to write this love letter to the beautiful continent and the world. And I would say this: technology is amazing, but without the understanding that you and I have together, the understanding of who we are, where we come from, what makes us unique, we will never reach the promised land of innovation. We will never reach the promised land of innovation if we do not understand the nuances of who we are. I hope one day I can innovate alongside you, but in order to be an innovator, I need to be boring. And to be boring is believing over and over again that the realistic insights and the nuances in our market is the game changer. So if you ever find yourself doing the very mundane, boring tasks of life, imagine all the things that we could learn and solve for. And maybe, just maybe, you could be onto something. Thank you.